Hi, this is Corey Muniz from Crusade Media, and I'm here today to share with you what is going on in Los Angeles at this moment. We are learning that the wonderful company, the company that produces pomegranate juice, is watering their crops with oilfield waste. And this is waste that they are purchasing from Chevron, and it's called produced waste. This is very carcinogenic, so what we're here to show you is Food and Water Watch, a national organization that is here to help us protect our food and water, is here to deliver hundreds of thousands of petitions from people all over the United States today to ask and demand that the wonderful company stop using oil wastewater to irrigate our crops.
In California, we currently have a serious problem with the quality of our food, the safety of the water we use to grow it, and the resolve of our government to rein in alarming corporate abuse. In the past 20 years, our government has allowed the Chevron oil company to sell its byproduct water it pumps from oil wells, to Central Valley water districts where it ends up on our crops. Does that sound right? No! And even though this has been going on for over 20 years, there has not been a single independent analysis of this water that examines the more than 450 chemical compounds used to get oil out of the ground. Does that sound right? No! There have been no studies on how this water impacts the aquifers below the fields, or how it impacts the farm workers who have to come in contact with this on a daily basis. Does that sound right? No! In 2016, over 300,000 people asked Governor Brown to end this practice. And what we have heard from his office in Sacramento was resounding silence.
Oh, boo!
Now, we've seen 2 terms of Brown. For some of us, we've seen 4. And we don't expect him to be a leader against the oil industry. They are one of the top contributors to his campaigns and to his political efforts. That's why we're here today. We are now looking to the very companies that are profiting from using this water, and we are demanding that they end this practice. Today we're delivering over almost 100,000 pledges from people across the country to the wonderful company's door. We have pledged not to buy their products until they and the governor put an end to this shameful practice. And we believe the wonderful company to be an egregious offender precisely because they market their products as wellness foods. Whether it's Pom Wonderful juice or their Halo tangerines. We believe that they have an obligation to the people of this country and to California to stop using this water sourced from oil fields on our food. And so I'm proud to stand here today with all of you and with a fierce coalition of organizations who work to collect these pledges and fight every single day for transparency and accountability from our elected officials and corporations. So before we get to the delivery, I want to bring some of our partners up. First person I'd like to bring up is attorney Adam Keats with the Center for Food Safety. Adam's the senior attorney at the Center for Food Safety. His work focuses on water supply and water privatization issues, and particularly agricultural water use. He's the 2016 recipient of the California Lawyer Attorney of the Year Award for his work fighting a development project sprawl here in SoCal, and he's currently litigating against the privatization of a major water bank in Kern County, which is majority held by the billionaire couple that owns the wonderful company, Linda and Stuart Resnick. You can learn more about Adam and his work in National Geographic's new movie, Water and Power, a California Heist. But right now I'd like to bring up Adam.
Thank you, Walker, and thank you, everybody. It's great to be here. You know, I started my career in water law about here, I'd say 10 years ago, in meetings in this building, actually. So it's sweet justice that I get to come back down here to LA in front of the wonderful company to continue raising our voice and to join you guys in raising your voice. choice against this company, against their practice right now, and the way that they're producing food for all of us to consume. So we all know why we're here. We're here to say that we know full well what it means to water our crops with oil wastewater. It means chemicals, known and unknown. A lot of them we don't know, being flushed into our rivers and groundwater. It means chemicals, known and unknown, being sprayed onto our food. And even if those chemicals might not make it into our bodies, we're not sure of that because no one knows because there's no testing, we do know that it does get handled and breathed and touched and smelled and tasted by the farm workers who have to pick those fruits and handle those vegetables. It means the birds and fish and bugs and animals, everything, all the living beings that use this environment, that's a shared environment, all of those things have to breathe and touch and taste and come in contact with all these chemicals also. We're here to say that we want nothing to do with this practice.
Yeah.
We want nothing to do with the watering of our food with oil wastewater.
Yeah.
And just as importantly, we want nothing to do with the oil drilling that is creating the toxic water in the first place.
Yeah.
We're here to say that we know full well that using oil wastewater to grow crops is not water recycling. That's a lie. It's greenwashing.
Yeah.
The toxic oil industry uses massive amounts of water. And they create massive amounts of wastewater, toxic wastewater. They're looking for something to do with it. They're looking for a mechanism by which they can get an excuse for why they're using all this water and what they're doing with all this water. And they found a willing partner in the Wonderful Company. And we know the oil company, the oil industry, they're destroying, not only are they destroying our water supplies, not only are they using up our water supplies, they're destroying our planet through oil, through global warming. We all know that. We want nothing to do with it.
That's right. Yes.
We're here to say that we know the false logic upon which this whole scheme is based necessarily resulted when our food production system was taken over by corporations.
Yeah.
Corporations like the Wonderful Company, who kicked out and bought off our family farms and our community agriculture and replaced them with a model of agriculture that is destructive to this planet, destructive to humans, and destructive to the environment.
Yeah.
And we're here to say that we know that there's something that we can do about all of this. We know that we can stop buying these big ag products. We know that we can support family farming practices that do good and not harm. We know that we can support farming practices that work in harmony with the environment rather than in competition with it.
Yes.
And that farming practices that support farm workers with real living wages and a safe and healthy workplace.
Yes.
Now, I'm a lawyer by trade. I've been litigating against companies like the Wonderful Company for a long time now. And I'm here to tell everyone here, there are some times when lawyering and lawsuits work, and there are some times when they don't work. And unfortunately, with this situation, with this toxic oil wastewater being used on crops grown in California, we're having a very difficult time accomplishing what we want to accomplish with lawsuits. And so this is where the people need to come up. The people are going to step up, because the unfortunate reality is that we're dealing with two pretty powerful industries, the oil industry and big ag. This is an unholy alliance that is a conspiracy to keep us from being able to accomplish our goals. The one tool that we have, and the most effective tool that we have, is to stop buying the products being produced by these companies. So I'm going to work, and my group's going to work, and all the lawyers on this issue are going to be working as hard as we can to come up with a litigation fix on this thing. But while we're doing that, and until it might never work, while we're doing it, the most effective thing that we can do is to stop buying the products. And so I'm pledging today, and I hope we all pledge to stop buying products in the Wonderful Company until they pledge to stop using oil wastewater on their produce.
Yeah.
So we're here to say no to big ag and its toxic stew of unsustainable crops, wasteful water use, and codependency with the worst and most harmful industry on this planet, the oil industry. We're here to say no to big ag polluting the environment, poisoning our food, and harming our farm workers. Thank you very much.
To self-sacrifice and do the work that so many won't and can't. The next person I'd like to bring up is greatly responsible for making sure as many people as possible know about this issue. Her name is Kelly Soto. She is the list growth specialist for Daily Kos. She has dedicated her life to racial and social justice and has been involved in a variety of spaces doing work focused on reproductive health and social justice. Whether it's clinical research or policy advocacy and organizing, and from education and capacity building to consulting for racial justice organizations, Kelly's dedication to underserved communities radiates as the underlying motivation for her life's work, and we feel really just pleased and proud to have her here today. So Kelly.
Wow, this is the warmest welcome I've ever had. Sorry, I'm a little short. Thank you all to all of you who've come out, first and foremost, and taking time out of your day. This is such an important action. I'm so pleased and proud to be able to stand here with you and support our partnering organization, Food and Water Watch. This is such a huge issue, one that I really didn't know about before coming to work at Daily Kos. So if I didn't know about it, I'm sure that many people didn't. There needs to be more transparency, and it's frankly ridiculous that we have to gather together and hold signs that say, hey, can you not poison us? Can you not put oil into the food that we eat, that we feed our children? This is ridiculous. This is 2017, but we're going to keep fighting. We have to take this approach of intersectionality, and we have to recognize that your struggle is mine, and we're not working in silos. I'm not, as Walker was saying, my work and my volunteerism has always focused on racial justice, reproductive justice, women's justice, gender issues, and this is an intersectional issue. You can't look at environmental justice and think, oh, okay, well, that's different. Or you can't look at Black Lives Matter and think, all right, well, that doesn't apply to me. No, everything applies here. So again, thank you all for coming out. On behalf of Daily Kos, I'm so proud to be able to be here and support Food and Water Watch, to stand in solidarity with all of you and to tell the wonderful company and other companies, because we know it's not just them that are doing this practice of using dirty water on the food that we eat, that this is not okay. That human lives matter more than money.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. It's so funny, when I first started out as an activist, I read my news on Daily Kos, and now it's just such an interesting turn of events in my life that I also get to work with them. Our next and last speaker is pretty renowned throughout California. She's built her career being what she considers a climate hawk. That is someone who is adamant and dedicated to fighting for climate justice and solutions to climate change. R.L. Miller is the president of Climate Hawks Vote Political Action, the Climate Hawks Vote Super PAC. She is also the elected chair of the California Democratic Party's Environmental Caucus. She's an active climate blogger and organizer, and her past work has included exposing the politics of climate denial and opposing fracking for oil in California. I'd like to introduce R.L. Miller.
Thank you. This one is sort of personal for me. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley in one of those 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom houses with a little pool in a middle-class community with the best tangerine tree in the known world in my backyard. And this tree produced the most abundant, delicious tangerines I'd ever had in my life, and it produced them twice a year. And so I grew up believing the tangerines were God's fruit. And now I'm finding that what is being grown and sold in the stores is being poisoned by oily wastewater. And it's coming from the same thing that I've dedicated my life to fighting, which is climate change. California is the nation's 3rd largest oil producer. And we all know that Jerry Brown, our governor, claims to be a climate hawk. He won't do anything about oil production. He won't do anything about the fracking. And I've been campaigning against him for a number of years with a simple message. Climate leaders don't frack. Because if you don't frack, you don't have a ton of wastewater to get rid of. And if you don't have a ton of wastewater to get rid of, you don't participate in some sort of garbage greenwashing scheme where you tell big ag that it's okay because it's been cleaned, and so you can put it on the crops and it'll be perfectly safe and it won't poison the fruit that's being sold in our stores.
Yeah.
Yeah? You follow on that?
Yeah.
But really, it's a lot more simple than that. Climate leaders don't frack.
Yeah.
Okay, can you say that with me?
Climate leaders don't frack.
And they don't dump their wastewater on our food.
Woo.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's hard, folks. One more time, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Walker.
Climate leaders don't frack.
Thanks.
Thank you, RL. All right, I want to try out some chanting. We're about to get on the move here, folks, and all we have to do is follow the leadership of our wonderful produce.
We're trying to get your
Pick up a
attention.
flyer over there. Yeah, we're trying to get your attention.
Wake up, friend. Yeah.
All right, why are we blocking the sidewalk? We're blocking the sidewalk because we need to give almost 100,000 pledges to the billionaire couple behind the wonderful corporation, which is using oil field water, wastewater to irrigate the crops that end up on our plates in California. And that ain't right, right?
No, that ain't right.
To them we say, don't pollute our fruit!
Don't pollute our fruit.
Hey, what?
Don't pollute our fruit.
One more time!
Don't pollute our fruit.
All right, thank you. If y'all want to grab the petition boxes, we'll follow you to the doors.
Take this, please.
We're going to close this up and take it to the, just follow them. We're taking it to the doors. We'd find a whole bunch of wrong going on if this is just how they treat the citrus and the pomegranates and the nuts in California. Lauren, one more?
Yeah, can you mention how they try to greenwash themselves even further by actually funding a Center for Food Sustainability at UCLA?
What do I have to mention? You just said it. The Resnicks are what we call philanthrocapitalists. They donate millions and millions of dollars to LA art institutions. The Resnick Pavilion at LACMA. They funded a psychiatric wing of a hospital here on the west side, and they funded a Center for Food Studies at UCLA. We see this going on with a lot of these billionaires that are kind of hedging their awful business practices with a little bit of philanthropy, with political donations. The Resnicks give political money to both parties because they know it's the best way to hedge a political bet. It's because they've built an empire. If you look at the marquee here, Pom Wonderful, Fiji, Paramount, Teleflora, those are all wonderful company brands. The thing is like the organic standards in this country have not come up to snuff. So you may think you're getting away from this by eating organic, but organic licensing agencies do not recognize the oil field wastewater as a practice, much less a problem. So you're not even safe eating organic.
Hi, James Wright. I just wanted to say that I'm one of the Freemason whistleblowers, and one way that you can take direct action is to boycott anything that the Freemasons are involved in, meaning their stock holdings. They own stock in everything from BP to Royal Dutch Shell to all the pharmaceutical companies, the fracking, all of that. So if it's involved in here, they have a stock holding in it. That's all.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a big issue. Lots of us have been fighting this for years now. The Kern Water Bank is the largest underground aquifer in the world. It is the key to water sustainability for Southern California. It's part of the most important element of the state's water infrastructure. And no one in the state, no one involved in Cal Water Fix the Twin Tunnels wants to talk about the fact that back in the late 1990s, the state gave it away to Stuart and Linda Resnick and the Wonderful Company. They control a lot more of it than you think. They own 48% of it. They control about another 20% of it. We privatized one of our most important water resources. It's led to this exact practice here involving the Wonderful Company's growing practices. So when you give the keys to the water supply to the private corporation, don't be surprised by what they do with those keys. They do terrible things with it. They grow their food in toxic ways. They grow tons of almonds and citrus in the middle of the desert without proper water supplies, and they drive us down the road to ruin. So, yeah, these guys are bad. These guys have a bad history, and lots of people have been fighting them for a long time.
Great.
Thank you for that. Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
All right. So
Don't pollute our fruit. Don't pollute our fruit. Don't pollute
All right.
our fruit.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. This is a wrap. This is a wonderful action. against the despicable company. Ooh, wordplay. And I'll see you all in the streets soon.